I've done research here and there about aging, and I have some very strong opinions about that. So I wanted to share it with you guys and see what you thought. And the first thing, I'm going to have you write something down. So hopefully you have a piece of paper, you can write something down. So the first thing I want to say or ask you is, how old do you feel? If you didn't know how old you were, how old would you think that you are? So after you have that, write down 3 reasons that would support the age that you claimed. So what would be the evidence to prove that you would be the age that you think that you are? So I want to propose to you that age is a mindset. I believe that we get our ideas about aging from our society, a lot from our society. Other societies are kinder to their aging people than they are in our society. But I think a lot of what we've learned about aging comes from advertisements, the way people talk to us, our parents, how did they age? How are they? What are they doing right now if they're still with us? Our culture, our doctors. I think a lot of there are expectations when you age that are put upon us. Such as, what's going to happen to you physically, what's going to happen to your eyesight, what's going to happen to your hearing, your mobility, your balance, how relevant are you going to be in society? I think all of those things, those voices are constantly, feeding us information. And I think I find for myself, it's become very important for me to make choices about which of those voices I'm going to listen to and what I'm going to accept for my own feelings about aging. And I just will tell you guys, it's silly things that people say. Like there have been times when someone will say, "Oh, you have a really nice smile." And I'm like, "Thank you. That's a really nice thing to say." And they'll say, "Well, yes, you should enjoy your teeth while you have them." And I'll be like, what is that? What is that supposed to mean? Where does that guide us and lead us in our thought process that there are assumptions out there that everyone's going to lose their teeth? It's like, well, why? Who made this up? I don't know. I had talked to Lynn about this a little bit the other day, and she shared, I know she shared this story before about her eyesight, and she had gone to a doctor in her 30s, and they said to her, "Oh, at a certain age, whether it be 40, I think it was 40, you're going to start having problems with your eyesight." And she is like, "Well, gosh, why would you say that?" And she's like, "Oh, that just happens to everyone." So there are, and that did not happen to her, by the way. I'll just add in that her experience of painting, she attributes it to doing plein air painting, that she kept her eyesight strong, because she's looking close up and then looking far away and then going back and forth with that. But all that is to say, you know, that doctors are telling us things that they shouldn't be telling us. You know, they're impressing things upon our minds. And so I've just found so many different things. I mean, along the line, you know, it gets into the health level as well. You know, people, I've had neighbors that, I mean, literally are on 12 different medications or 14 different medications. And these people believe their doctors so hard that, you know, my husband and I tried to help one of our neighbors, and we tried to give her some, you know, ideas of what she might do naturally rather than take these 14 different pills every day. Oh, no, I trust my doctor. And sadly, that woman has passed away, you know, regardless of the help she was getting from her doctor. So I would ask you to think about, when you're thinking about aging, you know, what have the voices told you? You know, what have you bought into? What have you accepted and believed as your own truth, when it just might be someone else's opinion or their lived reality, or just their expectations themselves of what's supposed to happen, whether or not it actually does. You know, think about, you know, maybe write down a couple of things right now that you can be thinking about. What lies have some voices told you that you've accepted and you've just taken it on? Like, this is what's going to happen when I get older.
Hey, Donna, just real quick, I'll just share that my daughter, who's 51, just went to the doctor and she asked her, how many medications are you on? She says, I just have a thyroid medication. That's it. She goes, that's it, the one? She goes, people your age have an average of 18 medications they take. That's what she told her. And
at age 51?
51, yeah.
Mamma mia.
She was floored.
Oh my God. I mean, the contraindications alone, right? You know, how are they? Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So the voices that are telling you these things, you know, you're making a note of some of the things that you might have bought into that you suspect now could possibly be a lie. They might be telling you, you know, as you get older, you need to slow down. You need to take it easy. You need to be careful. You need to, you know, basically just stay in your own lane. And I want to propose to you that all of that's not true. I want to quote to you Psalm 92:14. This is from NIV, and it says, they will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. So I want to share with you that I am 62 years old. I am actively working on defying aging. I have done things in my older age now that I never dared to do in my younger age. I started at age 59 taking singing lessons, and I started my own band about a little over a year ago. So I'm trying to, you know, live my best life. I finished the second draft of my first book this week. I haven't, you know, we're still in process, but these were things that I thought about since I was a child. You know, since I was 8 years old, I thought I should sing. Well, I'm doing it now at, you know, 62 years old. So I just wanted you to know that I'm not speaking from a, you know, vacuum. I do have a little bit of something to lean on, and not that it, you know, not that it comes easy, because, you know, even when you're taking those steps, the voices are still there. I will tell you, you have to fight against the voices. So, you know, whether it be, you know, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to exercise, or I'm going to learn to play the piano, or whatever it is, you know, I'll be up on stage sometimes, you know, and the voices are getting more quiet as time goes on, but so many times it's like, why are you here? You're not that good. Why do you think you should be doing this? You're too old, all the things, not too much too old, but every once in a while that will sneak in there. And I was like, no, no, no. And so I fight it. Like I said, it does get easier to push those voices down as you fight them. They get more silent. But it's a commitment to whatever it is you want to do for yourself, whatever it is that you want to achieve or be in your life. Back in the day, people used to say, if, in your 50s and 60s, you're already old. But now people are living longer, they're living better. And I think, in my opinion, as the baby boomers have become, that's a huge population of people. And now we're coming into, I'm a baby boomer. We are kind of taking over society age-wise. And this is really interesting. And I did not know this until Lynn had actually mentioned it to me, but the fastest growing group of people in the United States is people over the age of 85. And the second fastest group is people over the age of 100. So longevity is definitely at our fingertips. And I would say that it has everything to do with our mindset and then the choices that we make in our lives to pursue our youth and keep our youth. Let me see. So I think I'll have some articles and some different information that I'll, post in the, I guess, I don't know, Sharon, where that would go in the league somewhere. We'll figure that out. So anyway, I wanted to just basically say that it does come down to deciding for yourself. And you can kind of look around, like one observation I've made is, you go to a class reunion and you look at people and you see some people that have been, working on, staying youthful, staying vibrant, still doing their art, still doing their writing, still, exercising and keeping fit, doing those types of things. And some people just sort of decide, I'm not going to bother. I'm going to just kind of fade away. So you get to decide, you get to decide. So then the question I would have now is two things. One, how do you talk to yourself? And we talked about that a minute ago. But also, if someone observed you, how old would they think you are? And what kind of vibes, as it were, are you giving out? What kind of how do you talk about yourself? How do you talk about your future, your dreams, the things that you want to do? Do you still do that? Or have you just kind of, oh yeah, well, I'm getting older now, so So there's one thing, and Lynn has talked about this before, and I don't know if you guys will remember it, but I'll just remind you, and I'll also link this article too. It's called "What If Age is Nothing But a Mindset?" And it talks about this group of men that were in their 70s, and they did this test back in 1981. So it's an older test, but it's still relevant. They took them to this place in New Hampshire where everything was set up to be reflective of when they were 20 years younger. So they were like in their 50s instead of 70s. And the guys that showed up, some of them were stooped over with arthritis. Some of them had canes, they weren't necessarily, spring chickens in their mobility. And when they entered through the door, they walked into basically a time warp, and everything was set up like Ed Sullivan was on the TV, and Perry Como was on the radio, and all of the magazines and books and everything there were set up to be reflective of that time period. So they were immersed into this new time period, which brought them back to their 20 years ago selves. And they spent, let me see how long, it was about a week, maybe, yeah, about a week there. And so they participated in this experiment. And when they were done, they comparatively had done pre-experiment to now afterwards, and measured things like their dexterity, their grip strength, their flexibility, even their hearing, their vision, their memory, their cognition, and all of the things, back in 1981 that they knew to use to measure, youthfulness or aging. And that all of these men were having a pretty remarkable improvement in their numbers after only, like a week or less than a week of being in this environment. So basically it was their mind, all of it was in their mind, what was happening. So there had been another group that they used just prior to that, kind of as a, what's the word I want?
Control group.
Thank you. That's the word I wanted, as a control group. And they had just basically been sent into the place, but not really told that they had to, because this first group was told, you need to act like you're this age, only talk about things as if you are in your 50s again, and you have to live it, fully immerse yourself in it. So that was the group that had the great results. The other group who had been there prior, the control group, just was put in the room and said, go ahead and be here. But they did not have the same improvements when they were not embracing, the thoughts of being, that 20-year difference in age. So anyway, basically they had a big difference. It says they were suppler, they showed greater manual dexterity, and they even sat taller. And some of them even actually had sight improvement, which is kind of miraculous. Then they had a group of people looking at them, and they said they actually, it was independent judges, and they said they actually felt that they looked younger as well. So apparently, their brain thought one thing and their bodies said, okay, sure, I'm going to go along with this. And one of the things that was kind of cute in the study is on the day they were being let out, the guys had a little impromptu football game out front. And you have to remember, some of these guys came in kind of stooped over and not doing great. And they were treated, when they came into the study, they said, you have to carry your own stuff up to your room. We're not helping you. And they said, we don't care if you have to carry one shirt at a time or one pair of pants at a time, but you're going to do it for yourself. And so they did. I mean, they didn't pamper them. They didn't, oh, let me help you. They didn't treat them as feeble. So they responded accordingly. So anyway, I love that study. And like I said, that's the one Lynn shared. And I'll put a link to it, because the article that tells about it goes into a lot more detail. And also it gives you more information about other things that are being done in the same vein. So it's really good. So another thing I came across in my research that I thought was pretty cool is that your body is actually younger than you think. It's younger than your age. Most of the parts of your body are only 7 to 10 years old, which is really a trip if you think about it. Because our tissues are under constant renewal, and the cells are under constant renewal, everything's being replaced. So it says, I'll just read it to you. Although people may think of their body as a fairly permanent structure, most of it is in a state of constant flux, as old cells are discarded and new ones generated in their place. Each kind of tissue has its own turnover time, depending on the part of the workload that it's endured by the cells. The cells lining the stomach last only 5 days. The red blood cells, bruised and battered after traveling nearly 1,000 miles through the maze of the body's circulatory system, last only 120 days or so on average before being dispatched to their graveyard in the spleen. For the liver, the detoxifier of all the natural plant poisons and drugs that pass a person's lips, its life on the chemical warfare front is quite short. An adult human liver probably has a turnover time of 300 to 500 days. So then each part of your body, your bones, they said your entire human skeleton is thought to be replaced every 10 years or so. So we don't really have an excuse to say we're getting old. We're not. We're getting younger, actually. That's what I want to say.